happy Friday. I'm Jennifer from the Somerset County Family Community Health Science Department, and I'm here in the kitchen today to share some tips, hacks, and recipes to help you reduce food waste at home. Food waste is such a global problem, and in the United States, it's really an epidemic. About 70% of edible food is wasted by families every day, and many times it's unintentional, and the food sometimes goes bad, and we don't want to eat, moldy and expired food. But I'm going to share some ideas and strategies that you can reduce the food waste so that you can utilize the food and save money in your budget. So many of us have expired food. I bet if you open your refrigerator right now, you'll see things that have been sitting in there over a week. You might see things that are moldy. You might see produce that has been going bad. Okay, so what can we do to stop that? And what can we do to use some of that produce that maybe is browning or overripe or a little wrinkly, but still edible? So I think you're going to be inspired by some of these ideas. Okay, so number one, be a savvy shopper. Okay, when you are food shopping, the number one thing you should be doing is buying what you want to use. So don't overbuy. Only buy what you intend to use, and always check the expiration dates. Sometimes they're hard to find, but on your bread, on your produce, there's always going to be an expiration date. And dig through a little bit, because a lot of times the closer to expiring is going to be in the front, so dig through the back. I always do that when I buy my bagged lettuce and spinach, and I always find a longer date in the back. So pull out those dates. And number two, you want to be a smart storage. So store your leftovers or store your foods in clear containers or jars so that you can see what they are. If they're in a container that's solid and not labeled, you're going to forget what's in there, and it's going to go to the back of the refrigerator, and then you will end up tossing it most likely. So if it's clear, you're going to know what's in here. I know salad is in here. And then get into the habit, if things are getting pushed to the back of the refrigerator, to pull them forward so they are in your eyesight. And number three, use your produce. So these are some great tips that I'm going to share with you today. All right, so I have a great video, and I will share the link that we have stored in our YouTube channel for a food waste live I did a little over a year ago. And so there will be some additional tips in that video. But one tip that I share all the time is with celery. And people are surprised by this, right? We need hydration for our body. Plants need hydration. When you give a limpy plant hydration, it's going to come back to life. So if we all have this wrinkled celery in here, right, it's not crisp, we'll get it back. All you have to do is fill a large glass or cup with water. Then I would cut off the bottom, put your celery in here, and just stick it in the fridge just like this. And within 24 hours, your celery will be crisp again, ready to eat raw, ready to chop up in your favorite dishes. So if you learn this hack and practice it, let us know in the comments, because that is one of my favorite hacks to share. Another one I'm going to grab from the fridge. Okay, I found this in our fridge here at work. So avocados, they get oxidized very easily. So if you can see this avocado, it's turning brown, right? Because she cut it in half and only used half of the avocado, because half of an avocado is a serving. So if you're not sharing it with somebody else and you want to use it again for tomorrow, the best thing to do is sprinkle it, squirt a little bit of lemon or lime juice. That stops the oxidation and prevents the browning. And then when you store it, yeah, it's great to put it in a Ziploc bag, but before you do that, take some clear saran wrap and cover it, touch the avocado flesh, covering it with the saran wrap, and then put it in your plastic bag. That will preserve it and prevent the browning. Okay, so using it. Okay, so what do I do with these bananas? I know many of us may make banana bread. And hopefully you're saving them if you're not eating them for smoothies. Okay, don't ever throw a brown banana in the garbage because the flavor is amazing, right? You're tossing out these nutrients. So all you have to do is peel it and then put it in a Ziploc bag and throw it in your freezer, and you have bananas ready for smoothies any time of day. That's my favorite, most simple hack. But in the comments below after the live, I will share a recipe for peanut butter banana oat cookies. So it's another recipe. Instead of going to your go-to banana bread, you're gonna, have a fresh idea. So look for that in the comments. Okay, what else? Okay, wrinkly produce. You don't want to toss wrinkly produce, and a lot of times tomatoes get very wrinkly. Roast them. I did this just the other day. I had some cherry tomatoes that were sliding to get wrinkled, and I know my husband would not want to put that in his salad. So instead of letting that pint go really bad, I put it on a sheet pan with some olive oil and some garlic, and I roasted it with a container of mushrooms and a zucchini. And that was our side for our chicken that we had. I had some leftovers. All right, we ate all the tomatoes, but I had leftover zucchini and leftover mushrooms, and I put it in a little container, right? Some people might say that's not a lot to save, I'll just chuck it. Save all your leftovers because you can use them again in an omelet, in a quiche. And what I did with those leftover zucchini and mushrooms is the next night, I opened up a bag of fresh spinach, which I sauteed, and then I added in the mushrooms and the zucchini to the fresh spinach and served that on the side with our salmon. So I was able to reuse all those vegetables and kind of reinvented it, because I know many people tell me I don't like to eat leftovers. And they get bored of eating the same thing maybe 2 or 3 days in a row. So just reinvent it a little bit by adding it to another dish. Another way to reinvent your leftovers, if you have leftover chicken, okay, you can use that for a soup. If you have leftover ground beef or ground turkey, that's great to save it alone in a container, and then the next day make a taco salad. Have a salad and top it with the ground turkey or the ground beef. Completely different dish than you had the night before. That's usually a go-to. Another go-to in our home is soup, right? How many of you have had the ice cream, everything but the kitchen sink ice cream, and they throw in all the toppings? You can do that with soup, right? Let's call it the everything but the kitchen sink soup. If you have little leftover cooked vegetables or raw vegetables maybe that are going bad, peel it up, dice it up, throw it in the soup. Celery, carrots, zucchini, mushrooms, tomatoes, and that goes also for your leftover pasta. You might have just a little bit of spaghetti left over or a little bit of rice left over. Add that to your soup. And then whatever you don't use, you can always freeze and save for when you do want to make soup. And that goes along with your vegetables too. A great way to save money is to make your own homemade stock. So you can take your scraps of vegetables, just add some spices, herbs, onions, garlic, and add them to boiling water for a few hours, drain everything out, and you have a homemade vegetable stock. You can do the same thing with your bones. I love to use things 2 times. There's a recipe that I did for pineapple tea where we were reusing our pineapple skins to make an immune boosting tea. So that is in our YouTube library as well. So there's a lot of creative things that you can do with leftover pieces, but my main takeaway is use all your produce, even the beautiful leafy greens. If you buy beets, right? Save those leafy greens and saute them with some spinach and olive oil and garlic. That's not garbage, those beautiful greens. Okay, so did I mention everything? I think I did. So in the comments, look for the peanut butter banana cookies, and look for the link of the video that I shared. That's kind of part 1. So this is food waste part 2 with some new fresh ideas. Next week, join me. I'm gonna be making homemade fried rice, which is also a great way to use some of the leftovers or some things in your fridge to add to the fried rice, but I'm going to show you how easy and budget friendly making that can be instead of getting takeout. I love doing homemade items because you can control the ingredients, you can control the amount of sodium that you're putting into your foods. So have a great weekend. Let us know your favorite food hacks, or if you have one that I didn't mention, I would love to hear them. Have a great weekend.